Overpowered Cultivation, system showers rookie with insane rewards. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 31. You are being taken advantage of. Do you know your sin? Ling Feng found out helplessly. The two girls are not suitable for practicing the Chaos World Domination Fist. This fist method is too domineering. And for some reason, when the two girls were teaching them, they did not have any domineering or at all, and could not bring out the essence of the fist method at all. But the two girls did not care much. If the Chaos World Domination Fist fails, then try the Flying Immortal Sword technique. Ling Feng thought of the Emperor-level martial arts he had obtained not long ago. And watching Ling Feng, who was performing the sword technique, his figure was like a flying fairy, his sword energy was flying, and he was magnificent and ethereal. The two girls could not help but be stunned. Junior brother, what kind of sword method is this? Imperial-level martial arts, Flying Immortal Sword technique, I will teach you. The corners of the two girls' mouths twitched. My good junior brother. How many secrets do you have that we don't know? One emperor-level martial arts after another. This is the emperor level, not some cabbage. The two women complained in their hearts, and then followed Ling Feng to practice with great interest. Compared with the chaotic world hegemony fist, they were obviously more suitable for this sword method. The progress of practice was much faster than practicing the chaotic world hegemony fist. Looking at the two women who were practicing swordsmanship and had already mastered the swordsmanship a little, Ling Feng smiled with relief. Sure enough, my ability to teach people is no problem. Ding. The host generously teaches fellow disciples and generously teaches fellow disciples the skills. Get a reward of 10,000 top-grade spirit stones. Ling Feng glanced at the storage ring. The top-grade spirit stones inside have been piled up into a mountain. One top-grade spirit stone can be exchanged for about 10,000 taels of silver. And Ling Feng's current top-grade spirit stones are more than 100,000? Add to that the hundreds of millions of silver taels. Ling Feng felt that there was probably no one richer than himself in the entire Great Zhou. He was already rich enough to rival a country. Time passed. 3 days passed. Ling Feng and the other two returned to Baiyun sect. As soon as he came back, Ling Feng went to Piaomio Peak to find Lu Rusi. He was holding 2 pots of wine in his hands, which he bought at a high price on the road. This is Zuaxian wine. Lu Rusi wrinkled her nose and trotted to Ling Feng. She looked at the 2 jars of wine in his hand and her saliva was about to flow out. Zuaxian Yang. The best wine in the Great Zhou dynasty. 1 pot costs 10,000 taels of silver. This wine is so strong that it is said that even the immortals in heaven will get drunk after drinking it. Hence the name Zuaxian Yang. Without saying a word, Lu Rusi took a jar, opened the seal directly, and gulped down several mouthfuls. It feels great. I haven't drunk Zuaxian Yang for a long time. The last time I drank it was 30 years ago when I just became the master of the peak. It's a pity that Piaomio Peak was later ruined by me, and I no longer have money to drink this kind of good wine. My dear disciple, your master has not loved you in vain. Lu Rusi patted Ling Feng on the shoulder and smiled. Master, actually, I got into trouble when I went down the mountain this time. Ling Feng said. Oh, what trouble did you get into? Lu Rusi asked casually. I killed someone. That's nothing. Your master, I carried a sword and chopped from Baiyun sect to the king city of Dezhou. I don't know how many people died along the way, 30,000 miles. I killed a Wu Wang elder of Xianxin sect. Lu Rusi was stunned for a moment when she heard this, and then laughed. Not bad, disciple, you killed a Wu Wang the first time you went down the mountain, not bad. Master, aren't you afraid that Xianxin sect will come to your door? What are you afraid of? No matter how many come, I will chop them down. Lu Rusi said domineeringly. She didn't take this top sect of Dezhou seriously at all. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. Master is mighty. Then, he took out dozens of jars of drunken immortal wine and piled them in front of Lu Rusi. This is a little gift from my disciple, please accept it. Okay, so many drunken immortal wine. Lu Rusi rubbed her eyes, wondering if she was dreaming. These dozens of jars of drunken immortal wine are hundreds of thousands of taels. All the wine she drank in her life, combined, is not half as expensive as this one. Great, great. My dear disciple, I love you so much. Lu Rusi's face flushed with excitement. She held Ling Feng's face and smacked his forehead, leaving a lip print. Then, ignoring Ling Feng who was standing there in a daze, she dove into the wine jar and drank heartily. You're being taken advantage of, you're being taken advantage of. The little Qingwan on Ling Feng's shoulder said repeatedly. Ling Feng patted its little head. Feeling the warmth and wetness just now, and then looking at Lu Rusi's cherry lips that were drinking the fairy wine. Alas, boys, you really need to pay attention to protecting yourself. After a while, Lang Ningshuang, Gu Linglong came to Piaomio Peak to find Ling Feng after handing in the task. Junior brother, ah. Gu Linglong was about to say something when she noticed the lip print on Ling Feng's forehead. She exclaimed on the spot with anger in her eyes. Who is it? Which foxy girl kissed my junior brother? Lang Ningshuang was also angry. She hadn't even started yet. Who was so bold to get ahead of her? Ling Feng touched his forehead. Wasn't it just a kiss? The reaction of the two senior sisters was too much. Oh, they must be worried that I was deceived by a bad woman. Senior sister is so nice. Ling Feng suddenly realized. Senior sister misunderstood, this is my master's own, she. What? It's Elder Lu, could it be that she wants an old cow to eat young grass? This is simply too. Gu Linglong hadn't finished speaking. Suddenly, she felt a chill on her back. Looking at the distance, Lu Rusi was drinking, already drunken, and seemed not to notice them, but the chill was real. Gu Linglong quickly shut up. Who knows if Elder Lu was pretending to be drunk? Well, it should be Elder Lu who did it when he was drunk. Lang Ningshuang guessed reasonably. Ling Feng didn't explain and nodded, yes, yes. Oh, that's good. Gu Linglong and the other girls felt a little relieved. If Lu Rusi was also interested in Ling Feng, they might not be able to snatch her away. After all, the other party is beautiful and powerful. I'm still with Ling Feng day and night, and the one who is close to the water gets the moon first. Buzz. 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 At this time, there were bursts of bell sounds coming from the direction of Taishu Peak of Baiyun sect. Ling Feng, Gu Linglong and others looked at each other. This is the Taishu bell. The Taishu bell will only ring when the sect is in danger. Could it be that the Xianchen sect is calling? Ling Feng's eyes condensed. The other party's actions were so fast? The three of them did not dare to be careless and hurried to Taishu Peak. As for Lu Rusi, she was already half drunk. After hearing the bell, a strange color appeared in her beautiful eyes, but she had no intention of going forward. On Taishu Peak, many disciples have gathered at the top of the peak. In the hall, many elders also gathered together. Ling Feng's several true disciples walked in. Suddenly, a strong pressure swept towards Ling Feng. A cold voice sounded. Ling Feng, do you know your crime? It was the elder. He was looking at Ling Feng coldly, and the pressure of King Wu swept out. Ling Feng knew that it was indeed because of the matter of Xianchen sect. But before he could speak, the leader of Baiyun sect waved his sleeves and dissolved the pressure of the elder, and said lightly, what crime did Ling Feng commit? He killed the King Wu of Xianchen sect and brought disaster to us. Is it possible that the leader will cover up for such a serious crime? The elder gritted his teeth. When the elders heard this, they all took a breath of cold air. One looked at Ling Feng and asked, did you really kill King Wu? Yes. Ling Feng nodded and did not deny it. The elder sneered and said, look, he admitted it himself. Awesome Ling Feng, you can actually kill King Wu. Oh my god, little Ling Feng, you are going to defy the heavens. Haha, Ling Feng is worthy of being the first of the younger generation of my Baiyun sect. With this level of cultivation, he can even kill King Wu. Episode 32, Xianchen sect attacks, Baiyun sword formation. Everyone looked at Ling Feng and laughed. Instead of blaming him, the elders were excited that he could kill the martial king, which made the great elder confused. Is he kidding? This is totally different from what he imagined. What's wrong with you? Ling Feng killed the elders of Xianchen sect and brought disaster to our Baiyun sect, and you actually praised him? Is the safety of Baiyun sect unimportant in your eyes? The great elder said angrily. The White Cloud sect master said calmly, I already knew what happened. Hua Liuxiang deserved to die. The Xianchen sect actually protected him. They are not good people either. Ling Feng killed him to get rid of harm for the people. What crime did he commit? Not only is he innocent, but he has done a great deed. As for the Xianchen sect, they want to start a war. We will accompany them to the end. After the White Cloud sect master finished speaking, an unparalleled aura burst out from his body. It was the realm of martial honor, above the martial king. This made the great elder's pupils shrink slightly, with disbelief in his eyes. You have broken through to martial honor? Exactly. There was a hint of pride between the eyebrows of the White Cloud sect master. This is also one of the reasons why he dared to protect Ling Feng. The realm of Wuzun is definitely the first-class strongmen in Dezhou. The masters of the four top sects are also in this realm. He has the confidence to compete with the top sects after being promoted to Wuzun. The face of the elder changed for a while, and then he left with a wave of his sleeves. Looking at his leaving back, the master of Baiyun sect shook his head. Elder, I hope you will take care of yourself and don't do anything to let down the sect. Then, he ignored him and looked at Ling Feng with other elders, with admiration and appreciation in their eyes, completely treating him as the future of Baiyun sect. And in fact, it is exactly so. Such a young Wu Wang cannot be found in the whole Dezhou. No. Not to mention the whole Dezhou. Even the 7 dynasties are difficult to find. It is hard to imagine how much he will achieve if he is given a few more years, but he can definitely lead Baiyun sect to a new peak. Is also the reason why the Baiyun sect master and others are willing to die to protect Ling Feng. Sect master, is it the Xianchen sect that is calling? Ling Feng asked curiously. The Baiyun sect master nodded slightly. Well, yes, the people of the Xianchen sect have sent a large number of warriors to seek justice for their dead elders, and are heading towards the Baiyun sect, but this is not entirely your problem. The Xianchen sect has coveted our Baiyun sect for a long time and has long wanted to annex us. Revenge for the elders is just an excuse. Even if you don't kill them, they will come to you sooner or later. Ling Feng nodded. The Xianchen sect is a top sect master, with the current strength of the Baiyun sect. What are the chances of winning against them? The chances of winning are not great, but there is no problem in protecting yourself. Hearing this, Ling Feng nodded secretly. With the words of the Baiyun sect master and Lu Ruxi's presence, Ling Feng was completely relieved. Don't worry, Ling Feng. We have a sword formation to protect the Baiyun sect. The Xianchen sect has come all the way to attack us. Whether they can break the sword formation or not is a problem. An elder laughed. He was very confident in his own sword formation. In fact, in the Great Zhou dynasty, the Baiyun sword formation was also famous. Time passed. Soon, a day and a night passed. On the second day, when the sun just rose, waves of true energy fluctuations came from not far away, and figures flew in the air. Each of these people exuded at least the breath of a martial spirit. Their true energy turned into wings and soared in the sky. When they came to the sky above the Baiyun sect, their eyes were cold and murderous. Especially the leader, with white hair and white eyebrows, a pair of golden wings like a golden-winged rock were spread out on his body, exuding a magnificent pressure. Ling Feng of the Baiyun sect, killing my Xianchen sect elder is a heinous crime. Baiyun sect master, you hand him over now, and everything can be discussed. The white-haired man said loudly. Ha ha ha, bullshit. At this time, a loud laugh rang out. The leader of the Baiyun sect soared into the sky, looking at the warriors on the opposite side with an arrogant look on his face. Xianchen sect, you want to start a war, my Baiyun sect will fight to the end. If you want us to hand over Ling Feng and compromise, you are dreaming. The white-haired old man's face darkened. You are looking for death. He said no more. As he raised his hand, a powerful true energy gathered in his palm. He blasted out with a palm, and the palm force was like a tidal wave. But before this palm landed on Baiyun sect, it was torn apart by a sword light rising from the ground. Then, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, tens of thousands of sword lights gushed out from the ground of Baiyun sect. Formed a huge sword formation. The sword formation surrounded Baiyun sect, revealing an inviolable majesty. Seeing this, the white-haired old man's eyes fixed. The Baiyun sect sword formation is indeed well-deserved, but how long can you resist with just a formation? Haha, let's talk about it when you can attack. Baiyun sect master sneered. The white-haired old man began to attack. Not only him, but also the Wuling Wuzong Wuwang behind him also attacked one after another. All kinds of palm energy, fist energy, and sword energy surged out. For a time, the entire Baiyun sword formation was shaken. But after a round of fierce attacks, Baiyun sword sect is still strong. This sword formation is so powerful? The white-haired old man's face changed slightly. In the Baiyun sect, many disciples saw that the sword formation was as solid as a rock, and they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Looking at the Xianchen sect disciples outside, there was a playful look on their faces. You know the power of my Baiyun sect sword formation. Haha, no matter how many of you there are, don't even think about entering. That's right, if you want to break the sword formation, you can't practice for another 100 years. Ling Feng looked at the sword formation and was also amazed. With this sword formation, Baiyun sect is stable. But at this time, the sword formation suddenly vibrated. Not far away, a huge gap began to appear in the sword formation. The faces of the Baiyun sect master and the elders changed drastically. Someone is destroying the sword formation from the inside. Damn it, this sword formation is the top secret of the Baiyun sect. Only the elders who are the true disciples know the base of the sword formation. Who is it? Where is the elder? At this time, everyone found something wrong. At this critical moment, the elder was nowhere to be seen. In addition, the formation was broken from the inside, and it was obvious who broke it. Ha ha ha. Baiyun sect master, you didn't expect it, my Xianqin sect came prepared this time. After today, Baiyun sect will no longer exist. The white-haired old man laughed. Then, he took the lead in rushing in from the gap in the sword formation, and the Baiyun sect master also took action and fought with the opponent, and the other elders also took action. The scene was chaotic for a while. Ling Feng and others would naturally not sit and wait for death. They rushed to the gap in the sword formation and resisted the foreign enemies together. Here, they saw a bloody man lying on the ground. He was Feng Xiaoya, a true disciple. He was also the disciple of the great elder. Not far away, the great elder was standing next to a huge stone pillar, which had fallen to the ground. It was one of the foundations of the sword formation. Needless to say, Feng Xiaoya was also injured by the great elder. Seeing this, Gu Linglong and the others could not help but get angry. Episode 33, Cleaning Up the Sect, the Might of Raging Fire and Thunder. Grand Elder, you dare to betray the sect. Senior brother Feng has always respected you, but you did this to me? Gu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang, Zhang Ruochen and others looked at Feng Xiaoyao on the ground, their faces turning blue with anger, but the Grand Elder was dismissive. Humph, respect me? If he really respected me, he shouldn't have stopped me, he should have killed the sect master with me. Then, I would be the new sect master, and he would be the chief disciple, second only to the master and above everyone else. But he wanted to stop me. I raised him for so many years and taught him martial arts, and this is how he repays me and respects me? It's better not to have this disciple. The Grand Elder snorted coldly. Hearing this, Gu Linglong and others became even more angry. You betrayed the sect, and you still think you're right? Senior brother Feng is very righteous. It's unfortunate to be your disciple. That's right, Great Elder, surrender. Looking at the young people in front of him, the Great Elder said disdainfully, just relying on you young people, you want to catch me? It's just a pipe dream. If they can't do it, what about me? Ling Feng walked out slowly. The 7-star dragon abyss on his waist swished and was immediately unsheathed. The sharp sword energy surged out. Seeing him, the elder's face showed a trace of solemnity. Lu Ruxi's disciple, martial arts saint, if you had joined my sect, why would I have cooperated with Xianqin sect? With your ability, you will definitely help me ascend to the throne of the sect master in the future, but you insist on being Lu Ruxi's disciple. How can she, a self-degrading useless person, compare with me? Ling Feng, you are blind. You are not even worthy of carrying shoes for my master. Ling Feng said lightly. Okay. Let me see how capable the disciple taught by Lu Ruxi is. The elder sneered twice and then made a move. He raised the long sword in his hand, and a sword light slashed towards Ling Feng. But Ling Feng just blocked it casually. He also seized the flaw in the elder's swordsmanship and stabbed it with a sword, directly piercing a bloody hole in the opponent's shoulder. The other party's face changed. How is it possible? Your swordsmanship is so exquisite, how did you do it? Exquisite? My swordsmanship is far inferior to my master's. Ling Feng said indifferently. No, it's impossible. How could that waste Lu Ruxi teach a disciple like you? It's even more impossible for her to have such a sword technique. The elder growled. Then, the aura on his body burst out. The true energy surged like a raging wave, and it was the 9th level of the martial king. Only one step away from the martial lord. White Cloud Divine Sword Art, die. He urged his true energy to the extreme. With one sword, the sword energy was like clouds, layer upon layer, surging. Seeing this, Ling Feng did not dodge or avoid. He thrust out the long sword in his hand, his figure was ethereal like a fairy, and the sword light was sharp, as if an immortal was pointing the way. It was the flying fairy sword art. At this moment, the man and the sword merged, as if an immortal from the sky had descended. It was like a painting. The disciples only felt that the scene before their eyes was pleasing to the eye. But only the great elder felt the mighty murderous intent contained in this sword. In just a moment, the sword energy tore through the cloud-like sword energy and went straight through his neck, blood gushing out like a spring. The great elder took 2 steps back, clutching his neck tightly, his eyes widened, and looked at Ling Feng in disbelief. "You, what kind of swordsmanship is this?" "The name of the sword." "Fei Xian." "I am unwilling." The great elder's eyes gradually dimmed, and he knelt on the ground with a plop. The 9th level of the martial king fell. Ding! The host shot to kill the great elder cleared the door. Congratulations to the host for winning a random talent lottery. The system upgrade sounded. But Ling Feng didn't have time to draw the lottery now. He looked at the White Cloud sect master and others who were fighting with the Xianxin sect in the sky, and then looked at the Xianxin sect disciples who kept rushing into the sect through the gap. His eyes gradually became cold. "Brother Ling Feng, please lead us to resist the Xianxin sect. Brother Ling Feng, please lead us." Many disciples came to Ling Feng and said. Looking at these people, Ling Feng thought of something, his eyes lit up, and then he took out a copper ball, handed it to everyone, and said, "This thing is called the Raging Fire and Thunder Bead. Inject true energy into it, and it will be activated. If you encounter an opponent you can't resist, throw this bead out." Everyone held the copper ball in their hands, a little curious. Is this thing really useful? But Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang did not doubt it. Gu Linglong took a bead, injected true energy into it, and then threw it towards a group of Xianxin sect disciples. The group looked at the copper ball flying in front of them, confused. But the next moment, the copper ball emitted a red light, and with a bang, it suddenly exploded. The terrifying flames and lightning swept out, covering an area of dozens of feet. Wherever it was affected, everything turned to ashes. More than a dozen martial spirit-level warriors perished on the spot. The overwhelming power stunned the Baiyun sect disciples. Looking at the copper ball in his hand, he suddenly felt that it was heavy. What a terrifying killing weapon! Haha, great, with this thing, why fear the Xianxin sect? Then, the disciples took the copper ball and excitedly killed the Xianxin sect disciples. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying power of thunder and fire exploded in the air. It was like a series of fireworks exploding. One by one, the Xianxin sect disciples turned into ashes under this power. As for Ling Feng, he was not idle either. He saw his sword finger condensed, and the sword control technique was performed. The 7-star dragon abyss turned into a dragon and circled in the air, bursting out with a loud dragon roar. Where the sword passed, the Xianxin sect disciples were all beheaded. It was like mowing the grass. The top masters of Xianxin sect were shocked when they saw this scene. Who is this guy? I know him, he is Ling Feng. Damn it, isn't he just a teenager of 15 or 16? How could he have such fighting power? No wonder he can kill the king of martial arts, it's terrible. If we keep this man, he will definitely be a big trouble in the future. Kill him. Everyone's eyes were cold, and they wanted to deal with Ling Feng first. Suddenly, 3 kings of martial arts and 7 or 8 martial sects joined forces and flew towards Ling Feng, and Ling Feng saw this and punched slightly. He clenched his 5 fingers and punched out. Suddenly, the chaos hegemon fist was performed. 11 giant elephants gathered in the void and roared. Wherever the fist light went, the void was shaken continuously. 3 kings of martial arts and 7 or 8 martial sects were killed one after another on the spot, fell from mid-air, hit the ground, and smashed into meat paste. What kind of boxing is this? Damn it, this guy is definitely not a human, he's a monster. Everyone in Xianxin sect looked at Ling Feng with horror in their eyes. The white-haired old man in the lead swallowed his saliva, made a prompt decision, and shouted, "Retreat." He wanted to escape, but was stopped by the White Cloud sect master. "Haha, since you're here, don't leave, stay." Damn it. Secret technique, blood sword. The white-haired old man roared, urged the blood and true chi, turned into a blood-colored sword shadow, and chopped towards the White Cloud sect master. The White Cloud sect master's eyes condensed, and just as he was about to resist, Ling Feng's voice came from behind him, "Sect master, get out of the way." His figure flashed and dodged. Ling Feng raised his hand and threw more than 20 fiery thunder beads directly. Episode 34, 9th on the heavenly ranking, Lu Rusi strikes. The blood-colored sword shadow chopped down. but it was hit by more than 20 fiery thunder beads. Boom, boom, boom. A series of terrifying explosions sounded. The blood-colored sword shadow was directly blown to pieces, and the white-haired old man was blown away on the spot, his robes torn, and his body was pitch black. There was a faint smell of meat. He was actually half-cooked. But even so, the other party was not dead. Ling Feng couldn't help but marvel, martial honored one's vitality is really tenacious. After saying this, he clenched his 5 fingers. The golden true energy unique to the martial saint body surged out, and he punched out. The chaotic world hegemony fist burst out. Boom. The terrifying fist force, thundering the sky and hitting the earth. The white-haired old man's pupils shrank. He dared not to confront him head-on. He wanted to dodge, but found that the surrounding void had been locked, making it impossible for him to escape. Crisis moment. A thunderbolt suddenly fell from the sky. Boom. The thunderbolt fell on the fist force and shattered it. The clouds in the sky rolled, forming a terrifying vortex. In the vortex, a figure slowly descended. The other party was wearing a green robe, his eyes were like lightning, and he looked to be in his early 40s, but between his eyebrows, there was a kind of vicissitudes. Seeing him, the head of the Baiyun sect slightly condensed his eyes. The 9th on the Great Zhou Tian ranking, the ancestor of the Xianchen sect, Luo Su. The Great Zhou has various martial arts rankings. For example, the famous sword ranking, the master ranking, the latent dragon ranking, etc. But the most valuable ranking is called the Tian ranking. There are only 10 people on the Tian ranking. They are the 10 strongest warriors in the Great Zhou. Of them is the top martial master, even above martial master. Baiyun sect, let's stop here today. Luo Su said lightly. Hee, you came to my Baiyun sect to make trouble, broke the sword formation, and hurt my disciples. Now you say that you want us to let it go? How can such a good thing happen? Baiyun sect master sneered. That being said, my Xianchen sect also suffered heavy casualties this time, and many masters above the martial spirit level died. Are you still unwilling to give up? Luo Su frowned. You asked for it. Baiyun sect master, I am talking to you in a friendly way because you have been promoted to martial master, but if you insist on fighting again, then I will. Kill Baiyun sect's martial arts saint first. His eyes were like lightning, and he looked at Ling Feng fiercely. A murderous intent burst out of his body. Hearing this, the pupils of the Baiyun sect master shrank slightly, shameless. You, a powerful person on the heavenly ranking, actually want to take action against a young junior? This junior is not simple. He can kill the martial king and even severely injure the martial lord. Why can't I take action against him? Baiyun sect master, you should think about it carefully. If I kill him, can you stop me? Luo Su said lightly. He was sure that the Baiyun sect master would not give up Ling Feng. For Ling Feng, he would definitely stop. In fact, the Baiyun sect master did not want Ling Feng to suffer any harm, so he could only sigh helplessly, okay, I answer. But he hadn't finished speaking. Not far away. Where the Piaomiao peak was, a magnificent sword intent permeated. In the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire Baiyun sect. Luo Su's pupils shrank, and a trace of horror appeared in his eyes. Such a sword intent, how is it possible Baiyun sect actually has such a strong person? Only to see a figure flying a sword, on the Piaomiao peak. The person was dressed in white, with long black hair and a face as beautiful as a fairy. However, this fairy was holding a wine jug in her hand, and her drunken eyes made her sword sway. People had to worry that she would fall to the ground in the next second. The person who came was none other than Lu Rusi. Drunk Lu Rusi. It's the drunken elder in the Baiyun sect's rumors. But, how could she have such a strong sword intent? Luo Su was full of doubts and didn't dare to be careless. Lu Rusi staggered in front of the crowd, burped, then hooked her arm around Ling Feng's neck, glanced at the crowd, and said drunkenly, just now, who was it that said that he wanted to kill my apprentice? Stand up. It was me. Luo Su looked at Lu Rusi, who was so drunk that she couldn't tell east, west, south, or north, and couldn't help but despise her in his heart. In this state, even if her sword intent was strong, how much combat power could she have? If she just stood there and let the other party hit her, the other party might not even hit her. Oh, it's you. Lu Rusi looked at Luo Su and rubbed her eyes. What's wrong with you? How can you do the art of clone? The art of clone? Everyone was stunned. Looking at Luo Su, The other party was clearly standing there alone. But then, everyone understood. Lu Rusi was drunk and saw double vision. No way, no way, is Elder Lu Rusi really so unreliable? Can he hit anyone after drinking so much? With such a strong sword intent, I thought he was an extremely powerful person. He is a powerful person, but not very reliable. Ling Feng's mouth twitched. If I had known earlier, I would not have given the other party so much drunken immortal brew. He actually drank so much. How can we fight like this? Humph, a drunkard wants to succeed? It seems that I overestimated him. Luo Su snorted coldly. But suddenly, Lu Rusi in front of him suddenly raised the sword and said drunkenly, "The art of clone is amazing? Look at me, one sword, all cut." The sword was raised. Then, between heaven and earth, a strong wind suddenly swept, howling for thousands of miles. Sword shadows appeared out of thin air in the void. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. Thousands of sword shadows hung in the void, like stars in the sky, flashing with sword light. A vast sword pressure enveloped the world, making people shudder. Luo Su was even more furious on the spot. Is this a sword? He roared and urged his true energy to the extreme. But it was too late. Lu Rusi gently waved the long sword in her hand, and the thousands of sword shadows in the sky were like the Milky Way descending from the sky, sweeping towards Luo Su. The void rumbled. The power of this sword is more than 10 times more terrifying than the Baiyun sword formation. The sword energy fell, and Luo Su and the elders of the Xiantian sect behind him could not dodge at all, and were enveloped by the sword energy. Then, under the impact of the sword energy, her body was cut into sword marks, and finally, with a shrill scream, it turned into a blood mist and exploded. She was torn into pieces by the sword energy. Burp. Lu Rusi burped again. The sword energy dissipated, and she looked at Ling Feng with drunken eyes, as if showing off, and said, "My dear disciple, what do you think of this sword of your master?" "Very strong." Ling Feng exclaimed sincerely. "Haha, of course." Lu Rusi took another big sip of wine. Then her body fell backwards, and she was so drunk that she couldn't control her body shape. Ling Feng was startled, and his figure flashed, and he quickly caught her and held her in his arms. Lu Rusi was already drunk and unconscious, and she snored slightly in his arms. Ling Feng shook his head helplessly. She is obviously very strong, but why does she look so unreliable? "Master, I will take Master back to rest first," Ling Feng said to Master Baiyun. "Oh, okay." The leader of Baiyun sect and others were still immersed in Lu Rusi's stunning sword, unable to extricate themselves. After hearing Ling Feng's words, they came back to their senses. After the other party left, they looked at the remaining sword energy in the air, felt the remaining sword intent, and had unprecedented amazement on their faces. This sword is the pinnacle of Kendo. Episode 35, Almost Raped, Getting Stronger After Drinking. Ling Feng brought Lu Rusi back to Piao Miao Peak. Looking at his master's peaceful sleeping face, he muttered, "It's still pretty good to be asleep without making any noise." He put the person on the bed and covered him with a blanket. Just as he was about to get up and leave, Lu Rusi grabbed his neck. Then he fell to the bed, and Lu Rusi hugged him tightly in her arms like she was hugging a pillow. The fragrance of milk mixed with the smell of alcohol hit him in the face. Ling Feng blushed. "Oh my god. Master wouldn't have sex after drinking, right?" Ling Feng wanted to struggle to get up, but Lu Rusi pouted her lips, and her jade arms burst out with great strength, holding him tightly in her arms. Even with Ling Feng's martial arts skills, he couldn't break free. He accepted his fate. Lying in his master's arms, his face was ashen. That's all. His innocent life was going to be destroyed by his own master. Let the storm come even harder. But after a while, Lu Rusi just hugged him and didn't do anything out of the ordinary. This made Ling Feng feel relieved. But vaguely, he was a little disappointed. Damn. Ling Feng, what are you thinking about? Ling Feng cursed himself inwardly. Then he looked up at his master's exquisite face, snow-white skin like condensed fat, tender pink lips, high nose bridge. Looking at it, Ling Feng couldn't help but be lost in thought. The next day, Lu Rusi yawned and opened her sleepy eyes. But then, she found something wrong. Wait. Why is there someone on her bed? She subconsciously kicked the person under the bed. Ah. Ling Feng cried out in pain, rubbed his butt and climbed up, looking at Lu Rusi with resentment. "Master, why are you so disloyal? What disloyalty? Why are you here? Wait, I can't, could it be? Lu Rusi thought of something and panicked. No way. As a teacher, could he have attacked his own apprentice? Even if it was drunken promiscuity, this is too outrageous. Some fragments of memory flashed through Lu Rusi's mind. Before going to bed yesterday, she did see Ling Feng next to her, and she didn't know what happened, so she subconsciously pulled him onto the bed. Could it be true? Lu Rusi held her forehead, disciple, I. She didn't know what to do for a moment. Ling Feng blinked, Master, what's wrong with you? Disciple, it's all Master's fault, I will take responsibility. Ah. Take responsibility? Master, you are not sober yet, are you? Nothing happened between us. I was just hugged by you all night as a pillow. But to be honest, Master, your sleeping posture is really bad. My body is almost broken. Ling Feng rubbed his shoulders and said with some backache. Lu Rusi also noticed that Ling Feng's clothes were still intact. Obviously. The two of them did not do anything too excessive. This made her feel relieved, but she was suddenly a little disappointed. Master's sleeping posture, how can you comment on it? Go, get a basin of water for Master, Master needs to wash up. Lu Rusi said. Yes, yes. Ling Feng went to get water. Lu Rusi sat on the bed and rubbed her head, it seems that I can't drink so much next time, it's easy to get into trouble. If one day he attacked his own disciple, then she would really be a beastly master. Wait. My disciple is so beautiful and charming, it is understandable that I am moved, right? If I can't help it, I am worse than an animal. Yeah. Not bad. It's not all my fault. It's all my fault. Why is he so beautiful? Lu Rusi silently put half of the blame on Ling Feng. Soon. Ling Feng came in with water and then said, I'll go make breakfast first. Okay. Looking at Ling Feng, who was busy in the kitchen, Lu Rusi's mouth curled up slightly. She is so virtuous. Alas, when I think that such a good disciple may be sold to other people in the future, I feel very depressed. Lu Rusi muttered. Otherwise, the good things should be kept in the family. Did she rape herself? The little devil in Lu Rusi's heart popped up again. Snap. Lu Rusi slapped herself and suppressed the little devil in her heart. Lu Rusi, wake up. In the kitchen, Ling Feng looked at his master who suddenly slapped him, and couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Why is his master so weird today? Is he still drunk? Noticing Ling Feng's gaze, Lu Rusi said calmly, nothing, just a mosquito. Oh. Ling Feng didn't think much about it. While cooking, he said excitedly, by the way, Master, your sword yesterday was so cool. Yesterday? What sword? Yesterday, you killed Luo Su, the ancestor of Xianxin sect, who was ranked 9th on the heavenly ranking, with one sword. Don't you remember it? Let me think about it, it seems that there is such a thing. Alas, I drank too much yesterday and I don't have any impression. Lu Rusi said. Ling Feng was amazed, Master, that was the 9th on the heavenly ranking, and you killed him just like that. You don't have any impression. You are too bold. 9th on the heavenly ranking? Is it very strong? Even Master can't take a sword from you. Master is the strongest. Haha, that's right. Lu Rusi showed a hint of pride between her eyebrows. Killing a 9th on the heavenly ranking was not something worth celebrating for her, but the praise from her own apprentice still made her very happy. After breakfast. As usual, Lu Rusi was idle with a bottle of Zuatian wine, and went to drink. Ling Feng watched curiously. He had never seen his master practicing. Every day, he was either drinking or wandering around Baiyun sect. He looked like a street urchin. How could she be so strong? He couldn't help but raise his doubts, and Lu Rusi took a sip of wine and said lightly, when you have reached the level of a master, it is useless to practice hard. The most important thing is enlightenment. When you understand, your cultivation will naturally improve. There is still a lot to learn. Ling Feng nodded, I understand. He has super understanding. I believe that he will be as powerful as Lu Rusi in the future. Suddenly, he thought of something, I almost forgot that I still have a talent lottery. System, start the lottery. Okay, the system spoke, and a turntable suddenly appeared in front of Ling Feng. 10 times the strength, 10 times the speed, Self-healing, Taoism, time acceleration, space seal, whoever you stare at will get pregnant. Various talents appeared again. What made Ling Feng's mouth twitch was, damn. What the hell? Why, is this talent of whoever you stare at getting pregnant always there? System, are you doing this on purpose? Talent lottery appears randomly, please don't doubt the host. It's hard for me not to doubt you like this. Ling Feng muttered, and then started the lottery. The turntable turned quickly. 10 times the strength passed. 10 times the speed passed. The space talent and the time talent that Ling Feng wanted the most also passed. Finally, it stayed in a small grid next to whoever stared at you will get pregnant. Ling Feng wiped a cold sweat. It's a close call, I almost drew this tricky talent every time. He looked at the talent he drew this time. Drinking makes you stronger. Episode 36. I want to become the sect master in the future. Become stronger by drinking. Looking at this talent, Ling Feng blinked. Wow. It turns out that you don't need to practice to become stronger, you can just drink? The talent awarded by the system is really powerful and strange. Looking at Lu Rusi who was drinking not far away, Ling Feng approached her and said, Master, give me a jar of this drunken immortal brew. Oh, you are in the mood today too, here, give it to you. Lu Rusi was not stingy and took out a jar and handed it to Ling Feng. After all, this drunken immortal brew was originally bought by Ling Feng. Ling Feng held the drunken immortal brew and opened the wine seal. The aroma of wine immediately filled his nose. He held it and took a big gulp. Suddenly, the wine went into his throat and then into his stomach, and a warm current ran through his body. That was true energy. A sip of the immortal drunken brew actually made his qi circulate on its own and improve rapidly. Compared with simple hard training, it was much more efficient. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. This talent is not bad. Master, I will accompany you to drink in the future. Stinky boy, why do you want to learn this when you don't want to learn the good things? Lu Rusi curled her lips and patted Ling Feng's head. But Ling Feng didn't care. Even if Lu Rusi didn't give him a drink, he could still buy it himself. Anyway, he had plenty of silver and spirit stones on him. Just when Ling Feng and Lu Rusi were drinking together, Gu Linglong and Langning Shuang came with excitement on their faces. Junior brother, you are famous. Gu Linglong said, holding a Jianghu Express in his hand, and opened it. The express was densely covered with pictures and texts. Junior brother, you have become the top of the Great Zhou Dynasty's hidden dragon list. Gu Linglong said excitedly. Ling Feng blinked, top of the hidden dragon list? Is it true? The official of the Great Zhou Dynasty has released various lists, such as the famous Sword List, the Grandmaster List, the Hidden Dragon List, and the Most Valuable Heavenly List. The Hidden Dragon List is a list of the Jianghu Tianjiao. Those on the list are all under the age of 30. They can be said to be the future strong men of the Great Zhou Dynasty. Each of them is a child of heaven, a dragon, and phoenix among men. The top of the list is even more incredible. In the past, the top of each hidden dragon list, if nothing unexpected happened, could be on the Grandmaster list, and then on the strongest heavenly list. Not only the hidden dragon list, but also the Grandmaster list. Junior brother, you are now the top of the hidden dragon list and the 9th on the Grandmaster list. You are so young, and you have already made it to these two lists before you are 20. It can be said that you have become famous in the Great Zhou. Gu Linglong said. She looked so excited that those who didn't know would think that she was on the list. Burp. Isn't it just a small hidden dragon list and Grandmaster list? Is it necessary to be so excited? Lu Rusi on the side burped and said. If someone else said this, Gu Linglong and the other two girls would have refuted a few words. Being able to be on the list is something that countless warriors in the Great Zhou yearn for. I don't know how many people can't make it in their entire lives. Now that you are on 2 lists in a row, isn't it enough to be proud? But when I think of Lu Rusi, who was drunk yesterday, she was still able to kill the 9th on the heavenly list with 1 sword. That terrifying and unparalleled strength is daunting. The other party is indeed qualified to sneer at the list. Ling Feng suddenly thought of Feng Xiaoyao and others who were seriously injured. Gu Linglong said, Senior brother Feng is no longer in danger after taking the elixir. He was indeed seriously injured in order to stop the Great Elder. Sure enough, Senior brother Feng is very righteous, but it's a pity that he followed the wrong master. Ling Feng shook his head and sighed. I've long seen that the Elder is petty, but I didn't expect him to dare to betray the sect. TSK, he's quite brave. Lu Rusi said on the side. Oh, by the way, senior brother, the sect master and others are calling you to a meeting. Gu Linglong said as she thought of something. Meeting? To me? Ling Feng was a little surprised. He was just a disciple. Shouldn't he go to an elder level for a meeting? For example, his master. Are you sure you're looking for me, not my master? Yes, it's you, junior brother. Lu Rusi on the side pouted. Don't doubt it, it's you. They're looking for a meeting with me, but I've never been there before. Ling Feng nodded. No wonder. Then, he flew to the main hall of Taishu Peak. He arrived there soon. In the main hall, several elders had already gathered. Seeing him coming, several elders smiled and nodded. Xiaofeng is here. Hey, Xiaofeng, I asked you to come this time because I need your help with something. It shouldn't be a problem for you. Ling Feng asked curiously, what is it? It's like this. Xianchen sect came to attack my Baiyun sect this time, but it was seriously injured. Even the ancestor died. Now, the other sects are taking this opportunity to annex Xianchen sect's territory. My Baiyun sect naturally can't fall behind. After all, it's our credit that Xianchen sect has fallen into such a situation. So, I want you to bring some disciples to represent Baiyun sect to seize Xianchen sect's resources and territory. Baiyun sect master smiled. Ling Feng thought about it and felt that it made sense. They attacked Xianchen sect. It doesn't make sense that all kinds of resources were taken by others. Baiyun sect must take action. I know, I will go. Haha, I knew that Xiaofeng, this kid, has the sect in his heart, and he will definitely help, so that those people know how powerful Xiaofeng is. First on the Hidden Dragon list, 9th on the Grandmaster list, and on 2 lists in a row, how many people can do this from ancient times to the present? Xiaofeng, this attack on Xianchen sect is also an opportunity. It's time to let people know your reputation. Take this opportunity to make our Baiyun sect famous. The elders looked at Ling Feng. There was a strong expectation in their eyes. Then, the Lord of Baiyun sect gave Ling Feng a map. The map recorded several places where Xianchen sect's resources were important, and they were also the places that Ling Feng needed to capture. Ling Feng took the map and went to prepare. Looking at his leaving back, Lord Baiyun sect and others were thoughtful. Xiaofeng, you are the future of Baiyun sect. Through this action, we can not only seize the resources of Xianchen sect, but also strengthen Ling Feng's prestige and prepare for his future. After returning to Piaomiao Peak, Ling Feng told Lu Rusi about the matter. After listening, Lu Rusi chuckled and said, there are so many disciples who don't look for you, do you know why? Because my cultivation is high? Ling Feng said. There is no doubt about this. In the entire Baiyun sect, he is the only one among many disciples who has reached the realm of martial king. He is also a martial king who can kill martial honor. This is only part of it. There is another reason, that is, they want to pave the way for you. Lu Rusi said lightly. Pave the way? Pave what road? Of course, it is to let you become the master of Baiyun sect. To be the master of the sect, in addition to cultivation, you also need prestige, not only the prestige within the sect, but also the prestige in the outside world. This time, you are allowed to take action. Once you do well, your prestige can be greatly enhanced, and it will be a natural thing for you to become the master of the sect in the future. Lu Rusi smiled. Ah, you want me to be the sect leader? Ling Feng was stunned. He had never thought of this before. Are you surprised? I am surprised. Being the sect leader must be very tiring. Ling Feng sighed, somewhat reluctantly. Episode 37, Seizing the Mineral Vein, Tianwu Sect. Although he had no interest in being the sect master, he still had to complete the mission issued by the sect. He spent the night looking at the map. The next day, he gathered a dozen disciples and prepared to go together to capture the territory of Xianchen sect. Gu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang, Zhang Ruochen, and others were also among them. Each of them was excited. It's great to be able to do the mission with senior brother Ling. Yes, and I have been in the sect for so long, eating and using the sect's food, and now I finally have the opportunity to repay the sect. A dozen people gathered at the mountain gate and talked about it. At this time, not far away, Ling Feng walked slowly. He was dressed in white, with the 7-star dragon abyss hanging around his waist. He was slender, with black hair like a waterfall, sword eyebrows, and star eyes. There was a kind of extraordinary air in his every move. His top-notch charm made him the focus of the crowd. Some disciples had never been so close to him. Seeing him now, they couldn't help but be dazzled. But what surprised Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang was that, in addition to the 7-star dragon abyss, Ling Feng also had a wine gourd on his waist. What? Why did junior brother Ling like to drink? Hiss. Could it be that he was led astray by elder Lu Rusi? The two women looked at each other, both a little worried. The image of Ling Feng getting drunk could not help but appear in their minds. Junior brother with a flushed face and misty eyes. Huh? It seems, not bad. Thinking of something, the two women couldn't help but smile expectantly. Ling Feng took out a list and called out the names. After everyone came, he smiled slightly. Let's go. Xianshan sect. Xianshan sect has not been doing well recently. Because they were seriously injured in the attack on Baiyun sect, they have become a piece of fat meat in the eyes of many sects. Many sects want to take a bite. Although the Xianshan sect has an extraordinary foundation, even if its vitality is seriously damaged, it is not comparable to ordinary sects, but it is gradually at a disadvantage in the face of the siege of some first-class or even top sects, and all kinds of territories and resources have been seized. A mine vein. The disciples of the Xianshan sect are guarding it. This mine vein is the largest one in our Xianshan sect. Those guys will not miss it and will come to our door sooner or later. A disciple said worriedly. But next to him, another young man said lightly, don't worry, the defense in this mine vein is extremely strict, and there are 3 elders in person. Even if the king of Wu takes action personally, he can't take it. Whoever dares to come will die. Suddenly, a horn sounded. The young man's face changed slightly. There are enemies attacking. Not far away. Figures flew over. It was the Baiyun sect disciples led by Ling Feng. Sure enough. Shoot. The young man snorted coldly. Then, a crossbow cart was pushed out, with crossbow arrows as thick as an adult's arm on it. This is an extremely powerful mechanical creation. Arrows flew out like lightning. Each arrow has the power to kill ordinary martial spirits. After seeing this, Ling Feng took the lead and took a step forward. The golden true energy surged out, and then he punched out, and the fist force swept like a hurricane. Boom, boom, boom. A very large arrow was blown into pieces before it got close to the crowd. Brother, you are mighty. Behind him, the disciples of the Baiyun sect were extremely excited. Then, under the cover of Ling Feng, they rushed into the mine and began to occupy it. They had the fiery thunder pearl given by Ling Feng in their hands, which was a life-saving trump card. They were not afraid even if they met a martial king. Damn it. Dozens of disciples of the Xianshan sect flew into the sky. They came in front of Ling Feng. This man is the leader, kill him first. Catch the thief first. Go. Everyone took action instantly. Sword skills, boxing skills, leg skills. Various attacks locked Ling Feng. In vain. Ling Feng's 7-star dragon abyss on his waist had not yet been unsheathed, but he just condensed his sword fingers, and his figure was like a fairy, moving in the air, ethereal and uncertain. In just a moment, those Xianshan sect disciples who attacked fell from the air one after another. They didn't even see clearly how Ling Feng attacked. Damn it. Dare to invade the territory of Xianshan sect, you are looking for death. At this time, a loud shout came from the depths of the mineral vein. I saw a black-haired middle-aged man with true energy turning into wings, soaring into the sky, with a surging aura on his body, surprisingly, a martial king realm. It's the 3rd elder. Great, the 3rd elder will take action, and he will definitely be able to take this man down. 3rd elder, come on. The disciples of Xianshan sect were immediately excited. The 3rd elder was also not vague. He rushed to Ling Feng at a very fast speed and punched Ling Feng's head. Seeing this, Ling Feng did not dodge or evade. He also punched out. But the void roared, and the mountains and rivers shook. The tyrant fist of the chaotic world. The terrifying fist shadow, accompanied by the roar of the 10 elephants, shook the world. The 3rd elder endured the blow, and his body banged, his bones and muscles burst, and a cloud of blood mist exploded in the air. It turned out to be dead on the spot. Killed a top martial king with 1 punch. This scene stunned the remaining disciples of Xianshan sect. How is this possible? What is the origin of this guy? Everyone was puzzled. But they also knew that they were doomed. Under the leadership of Ling Feng, the disciples of Xianshan sect died or escaped, and this mineral vein was taken down by them almost effortlessly. Ding! The host led the disciples of Bayun's sect to seize the mineral vein and expand the territory for the sect. The host is rewarded with a martial arts master cultivation card. Martial honor cultivation card? Could it be a card that can turn me into a martial honor in one go? Ling Feng asked with his eyes brightened. The host is really smart, that's right. Ling Feng's mouth twitched. This name, you can think of it casually. But then, he took out the card and crushed it. Soon, a majestic true energy burst out from his body, and his cultivation level began to soar from the Martial King realm. Martial King 3, 4, 5. 9. Boom. As if breaking some shackles, Ling Feng's true energy swept out, setting off a storm on the spot, and stepped into the martial honor level. Congratulations, Master, congratulations, Master. Qing Wan on Ling Feng's shoulder congratulated. The disciples not far away also noticed Ling Feng's changes. They were all amazed. Such a strong pressure. Could it be that senior brother has made a breakthrough? Of course. As expected of senior brother, he can make a breakthrough so easily. The martial arts saint body is so unreasonable. Is the martial arts saint body really that exaggerated? Everyone was shocked by Ling Feng's breakthrough. But then, they began to sort out the mine and collect resources. But at this time, a group of people flew over not far away. They looked at the mine that had been seized, and their faces sank slightly. Someone actually got there before us. Damn it. Brother, what should we do now? Someone looked at the black-clad man in the lead. The man's black hair was flying, and there was a chill in his brows. He said indifferently, "We came here to seize this mine. Since someone else has seized it first, we will take it back." After that, his figure fell to the ground like a meteor, landing on the mine. The moment he landed, a cloud of smoke and dust was raised. He just shouted domineeringly, "This mineral vein is ours for the Tianwu sect. The rest of you, leave immediately, or don't blame me, Li Tianqian, for being ruthless." Episode 38, Killing Li Tianqian, Tianwu sect? Li Tianqian? Everyone was stunned when they heard this name. Ling Feng asked curiously, "Is this person famous?" "Junior brother, you don't know that he was the previous leader of the Hidden Dragon List," Lang Ningxuang said lightly. Ling Feng suddenly realized that the name was quite famous. Who is the current leader of the Hidden Dragon List? Of course it's him. Li Tianqian looked at the people in front of him, and after realizing that they were from the Bayun sect, he said coldly, "Bayun sect, interesting. I heard that you recently produced a martial arts Saint Ling Feng, he is here. Let him come out and fight with me." As the previous leader of the Hidden Dragon List, Li Tianqian was proud. He originally wanted to maintain his position at the top of the Hidden Dragon List and then impact the Grandmaster list. But he didn't expect it. Suddenly, Ling Feng showed up and took his top spot on the Hidden Dragon ranking. He also made it to the Grandmaster ranking that he had always dreamed of. This of course made him extremely unhappy. When everyone heard what he said, they all looked at Ling Feng, and Ling Feng was also stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that the other party would challenge him out of the blue. However, he was not afraid. He walked out slowly. "You want to challenge me? Oh, you are Ling Feng. Yes. You are younger than the rumors say, and you are worthy of being the top of the Hidden Dragon ranking? And the 9th on the Grandmaster ranking? Humph, the people who arrange the rankings are getting less and less tasteful." Li Tianqian snorted coldly. But the Tianwu sect members behind him couldn't help but brighten up when they saw Ling Feng, and immediately whispered, "This man is Ling Feng, he is so handsome. He is just like an immortal. Tisk, it's a pity that the great Zhou doesn't have a beauty ranking, otherwise, I would definitely vote for him. This face is simply a perfect creation of God." The voices of the people behind him reached Li Tianquan's ears. His face darkened, and he turned around and glanced at everyone coldly. Everyone immediately shut up and dared not say anything. Li Tianqian stared at Ling Feng and sneered, "Your face is indeed good. You can't be the one who topped the Hidden Dragon List with this face. Heh, do you want to give it a try?" Ling Feng smiled faintly, ignoring the other party's ridicule. "Okay. Anyway, we have decided on this mineral vein, so let's defeat you and let the whole Great Zhou know who is the top of the Hidden Dragon List." After saying that, he took a step forward and rushed towards Ling Feng. He clenched his 5 fingers. A red fist light burst out from his fist. Like a raging fire. Ling Feng stood still and let the fist hit him. Bang! The next moment, The fist seemed to hit an indestructible barrier, and a loud noise broke out. Ling Feng's body-protecting true qi condensed on its own. It blocked Li Tianquan's fist. How could it be? Li Tianquan's face changed slightly. He knew in his heart that Ling Feng must have some skills to be listed as the top of the hidden dragon list, so he did not hold back and burst out with all his strength. But with a full-strength punch, he couldn't even break the opponent's body-protecting true qi. This is too much. Why don't you use a little more strength? Ling Feng glanced at Li Tianxian and smiled faintly. Taunting. This is definitely a taunting. Li Tianxian immediately became furious and urged his true energy to the extreme, and there were streams of flames gushing out from the pores all over his body. The raging fire made him look like a supreme fire god. Heavenly fire martial body, open. This Li Tianxian also has some kind of terrifying physique. Lang Ningxuang, Gu Linglong and others saw this and their eyes condensed slightly. I didn't expect it to be the heavenly fire martial body. It is said that the true energy cultivated by this martial body is extremely domineering. It has the terrifying power to burn everything, which is no worse than the martial arts saint body. This Li Tianxian is worthy of being the former top potential dragon. It's a pity that he met junior brother Ling. Although everyone was surprised, they still had great confidence in Ling Feng. 8 Desolate Divine Fire Fist. Li Tianxian shouted and punched out. The terrifying fist light mixed with endless flames swept across the world. Within a radius of several miles, all the flowers, plants and trees turned into ashes. Even the ores on the ground were about to melt. The fist light hit Ling Feng's body protecting true energy. There was a roar and the mountains and rivers shook. But then, everyone saw Ling Feng standing there, still as a mountain. The endless flames didn't even hurt him. He smiled faintly and said, "Is this all your strength?" The next moment, his body shook slightly. The true energy surged like a raging wave. Endless flames immediately vanished. Li Tianxian was hit by an unprecedented impact and flew backwards on the spot, spitting blood, and the flames on his body also dissipated. How is it possible? Just relying on the protective true qi, you can severely injure me like this. Your cultivation is a martial master. Martial master. That is the top powerhouse in the Great Zhou. Possessing the strength to impact the heavenly ranking. Li Tianquan's current cultivation is only a half-step martial king, and there is still a distance of 108,000 miles from the martial master. He is not an opponent at all. Impossible. How could there be a monster like you in the world? Li Tianquan's shawl was scattered, his face full of disbelief. Obviously, he had suffered an unprecedented blow. This mineral vein, my Baiyun sect wants it, you guys leave. Ling Feng said lightly. After speaking, he turned around and wanted to find a place to familiarize himself with his own strength. But at this time, Gu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and others were shocked. Junior brother, be careful. Only to see behind him. The defeated Li Tianxian suddenly jumped up, took out a golden cone and smashed it towards Ling Feng. The cone burst out a terrifying breath wave. It was obviously a very powerful hidden weapon. Ling Feng, taste the power of the Fire God Cone. Fire God Cone. The 9th on the Great Zhou weaving list. This thing contains a strong fire power. After being driven by the true qi of the warrior, it can burst out with power comparable to the top martial arts. Sensing the danger behind him, Ling Feng's eyes condensed. When he turned around, the 7-star dragon abyss had already been unsheathed and collided fiercely with the Fire God Cone. Bang! The sound of metal and iron resounded. The next second, the Fire God Cone was knocked out. The sharp and cold sword light continued to magnify in Li Tianquan's wide eyes, and then the sword light directly tore his neck. Sala. Flesh and blood separated. Li Tianquan's head was thrown high and fell to the ground. The former top of the potential dragon list was killed by a sword. Ling Feng's cold eyes swept over the people of Tianwu sect, so, sneak attacks from behind are the style of Tianwu sect. I've learned a lot. A Tianwu sect disciple came out and said, Mr. Ling, please calm down. This is Li Tianquan's behavior. It has nothing to do with our Tianwu sect. We are also very ashamed of this sneak attack. We don't want this mineral vein anymore. We'll leave now. After saying that, the man picked up Li Tianquan's body and was about to leave. But Ling Feng snorted coldly, do you want to leave now? Mr. Ling, what do you want? Leave all the valuables on you as an apology to me. Ling Feng said coldly. Everyone didn't dare to disobey and took off their storage rings. At this time, they had already cursed Li Tianxian for sneak attacks from behind. Damn. Not as good as others, but they still sneak attacks? The proud man on the hidden dragon list is shameless. Shameless, but he dragged them down with him. Bastard. It's so unlucky to have such a senior brother. Episode 39. First on the Grandmaster ranking, Tiger Killing Sword. Congratulations to the host for killing Li Tianxian, becoming the real #1 on the hidden dragon ranking, shocking the people of Tianwu sect, and rewarded with an emperor-level technique and the immortal King Dharma body. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment after hearing the system prompt. Here comes another emperor-level technique. Why does he feel that these emperor-level techniques are like cabbages to him, one after another? Get lost. Looked at the people of Tianwu sect in front of him and said lightly. Everyone was as if they had been pardoned, and hurriedly took Li Tianquan's body away, fearing that Ling Feng would regret it. Junior brother, you are so amazing. The leader of the hidden dragon ranking couldn't even survive one move in front of you. Yeah, so strong. That's natural. Li Tianxian is just a thing of the past. The future belongs to senior brother Ling Feng. Everyone in Baiyun sect looked at Ling Feng with joy and admiration in their eyes. Ling Feng smiled slightly and asked everyone to collect all the storage rings left by the Tianwu sect members. Not far away. The Tianwu sect members took Li Tianquan's body and left quickly. Recalling the scene of Ling Feng killing Li Tianxian with one sword, they looked frightened. Too strong, that Ling Feng is simply unbelievably strong. Yeah, how did he practice? He is obviously younger than us. Everyone was puzzled. At this time, a group of people flew over not far from them, and the leader was a white-haired old man. He looked at the panicked people and frowned. Didn't you go to seize the mine? What's going on? Reply to the elder, this. A disciple hesitated and dared not speak. But the white-haired elder found Li Tianquan's body, stepped into the air and shrank back, gasping for air. This is Li Tianxian? What happened? The white-haired elder roared, his eyes were bloodshot. You know, Li Tianxian was the top of the previous potential dragon list. For Taiyan women, he had unlimited potential and might even be the genius who would take over the position of the leader in the future. But now, he is dead. The blow to Tianwu sect was indeed not small. We encountered Baiyun sect. A disciple of Tianwu sect told the story. After listening to it, the white-haired elder's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out. Well, what a Ling Feng. What a top of the Qianlong list. Killing my Tianwu sect's Tianjiao, did he really think that there was no one in my Tianwu sect? An extremely domineering aura gradually erupted from his body. The true energy was like a hurricane, surrounding his body. Seeing this, the pupils of many Tianwu sect disciples shrank slightly. Those with low cultivation were directly pressed to the ground by this pressure and could not move. This kind of true energy pressure is so powerful. It's worthy of being the elder. #1 on the Grandmaster list, no joke. Tianwu sect, Zhang Tianming. The top of the Grandmaster list of the Great Zhou. Known as the #1 person under the Tianbang, his cultivation is so high that he has already advanced to the realm of martial honor. Let me go and see what Ling Feng, who is the top of the hidden dragon list and 9th on the Grandmaster list, is capable of. Zhang Tianming smiled coldly and took a step forward. In the blink of an eye, he was already several miles away. On the other side. Inside the mine, Ling Feng and others were collecting resources here. When they were almost done, they planned to go to the next location. But at this time, a magnificent true energy wave swept in from not far away. Wherever it passed, trees were broken and wild sand was flying. Everyone behind Ling Feng felt unprecedented pressure. Ling Feng narrowed his eyes slightly, took a step forward, and the true energy penetrated his body and turned into an invisible shield to protect everyone. This breath, it seems that the person coming is not kind. Ling Feng. Pay for my Tianwu sect Li Tianquan's life. With a roar, a white figure appeared in front of Ling Feng. Ling Feng and the others suddenly realized. So that's how it is. After beating the younger one, here comes the older one. Ling Feng curled his lips. What a routine. Is it that after I kill this old one, will Tianwu sect come out in full force in the future? There is no tolerance at all. Didn't they just kill Li Tianxian? Gu Linglong and the others twitched their mouths slightly. That was an ordinary disciple. He was the former #1 on the hidden dragon ranking, and could even be said to be the future leader of Tianwu sect. You killed the future leader, how could they let it go? Junior brother, this aura is extraordinary. In my opinion, this person should be Zhang Tianming, the number 1 on the Grandmaster ranking. You must be careful, Zhang Ruochen said worriedly. When everyone heard the words top of the Grandmaster ranking, their faces were already full of solemnity. Top of the Grandmaster ranking, this is the strongest person under the heaven ranking. And as far as they know, although Ling Feng is also on the Grandmaster ranking, he is only 9th. Is he really a match for this Zhang Tianming? Top of the Grandmaster ranking, it's interesting. Ling Feng touched his chin with a playful look on his face. If it was before, he might have been a little timid, but now it's different, he has already advanced to the realm of martial honor. In addition to all kinds of trump cards. He is not afraid of the strong people on the heaven ranking. Senior Zhang, Li Tianxian intends to sneak attack my junior brother. Such behavior is extremely despicable, and it is understandable that he was killed. As the top of the Grandmaster ranking, if you attack a junior for this reason, it would be a loss of status. Zhang Ruochen stood up and said, trying to calm down the dispute. But Zhang Tianming's face was still indifferent, and he even raised his hand and shot out a stream of true energy. Boom! The true energy was like a flood, bombarding Zhang Ruochen with an irresistible force. He was only in the Wuling realm and couldn't block it at all. His face suddenly changed. The time of crisis. Ling Feng took a step forward and blocked the opponent. He raised his hand to disperse the true energy and said indifferently, if you want to touch my Baiyun sect's people, you have to ask me first. Okay. Today, I will send you to hell together and bury Li Tianxian with you. Zhang Tianming didn't say much. With a low roar, the true energy burst out, like an endless gust of wind, sweeping towards Ling Feng and his group. Facing such power, Zhang Ruochen and his group couldn't stop it. You retreat behind me, Ling Feng said lightly, then clenched his 5 fingers and punched out. The chaotic world tyrant fist was performed, and the void made a violent roar. In an instant, the hurricane dissipated. And the ground had sunk deeply because of this impact, forming a huge pit of dozens of feet. Good boy, you are indeed quite skilled. Come again. Zhang Tianming was a little surprised. He did not expect Ling Feng to be able to block his attack. Then, he grabbed a black and red long sword with his 5 fingers. The sword tip revealed a sharp edge, and there was a chilling murderous aura. A tiger appeared vaguely, roaring at everyone. This is Tiger Kill, the 13th sword in the famous sword manual. Zhang Ruochen immediately recognized the origin of this sword. Upon hearing this, Ling Feng also drew out the 7-star dragon abyss from his waist. Suddenly, the sword energy soared into the sky, and the sword force shook the sky. The sound of dragon roars echoed in all directions, faintly suppressing the sword power of the Tiger Kill sword. Boy, your 7-star dragon abyss is indeed better than my Tiger Kill, but unfortunately, I am the first on the Grandmaster list. And you are only 9th. Today, I will kill you and take the 7-star dragon abyss. Just as an apology for killing Li Tianxian. Episode 40, Killing the Grandmaster number 1 with 1 palm, 1 half. Zhang Tianming exuded a strong murderous aura, which echoed with the tiger-killing sword in his hand, and a cold pressure gradually spread out. After Ling Feng felt this pressure, he was not frightened, but on the contrary, a hint of excitement appeared on his face. Come on, let me see how strong you are. Seeing this, everyone secretly smacked their lips. This is a martial honor master. Yeah, I see junior brother Ling looks excited. TSK, he doesn't seem to be afraid at all. As expected of junior brother. Do you think he can kill this martial honor master? For others, I would definitely say it's impossible. After all, Zhang Tianming is the number 1 on the Grandmaster list. Unless a heavenly list expert takes action, it is absolutely impossible. But if it's junior brother Ling, maybe it's really possible. Everyone looked at Ling Feng with expectation in their eyes. If Ling Feng can really kill the martial honor master, then he will be the number 1 on the Grandmaster list. No. He can even be on the heavenly list. Such a young heavenly list expert is rare in the entire Great Zhou. Good boy, you have some courage, but you are looking for death. Zhang Tianming snorted coldly, and the tiger-killing sword in his hand had already slashed out. A cold sword light turned into a phantom of a tiger, roaring and rushing forward. The terrifying power made people shudder. But Ling Feng did not retreat or avoid, and the martial arts holy body was opened. The golden true energy surged out of his body, and he also slashed with a sword. It was like an immortal pointing the way, and the sword shadow was sharp and magnificent. The phantom of the tiger was directly torn apart by a sword. Zhang Tianming attacked again, and this time, a trace of blood-colored true energy appeared faintly on his body, and his eyes were also stained with a layer of blood. Behind him, the true energy flowed, interweaving a phantom of a sea of blood. The martial arts holy body is indeed extraordinary. But do you think you are the only one with the martial body? Blood sea holy body. Open. Blood sea holy body. A powerful physique that specifically increases attack power. It is also Zhang Tianming's biggest reliance on becoming the first on the Grandmaster list. The moment the holy blood sea body was activated, his whole body was filled with a chilling energy, and the surroundings seemed to have turned into a bloody hell, with the sound of wailing souls of the dead constantly heard. Zhang Tianming did not hesitate at all and attacked with all his strength. This sea of blood formed by the interweaving of true qi not only enveloped Ling Feng. It also completely enveloped Gu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang, Zhang Ruochen, and others. He wanted to kill all the people of Baiyun sect here together. Ling Feng knew in his heart that the longer he dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be. He was fine. But Gu Linglong and others did not have his cultivation level, and they could not last long in this sea of blood. Thinking of this, he had made up his mind. I wanted to play with you for a while, but now it seems that I can only make a quick decision. Ling Feng said indifferently, quick decision? Ha, it's just a joke. You can't protect yourself. What ability can you have to make a quick decision? Zhang Tianming said disdainfully. In his opinion, Ling Feng and others are already in his pocket. Life and death are just a matter of his thoughts. Ha, how great my ability is, you will soon see it. Ling Feng smiled faintly, still looking confident and calm. Zhang Tianming frowned, you are playing tricks, die. He swung the tiger-killing sword in his hand. Combined with the blood-colored true qi from all directions, it was like a blood-colored ocean. The sword force contained in it was gloomy and domineering. Of the 10 levels of sword force, Zhang Tianming has at least comprehended the 7th or 8th level. Boom. The next moment, Ling Feng was enveloped by the boundless blood-colored true qi and disappeared. Junior brother. Damn it. Seeing this, Gu Linglong and others changed their faces and rushed to attack. Various true qi were shot out one after another, bombarding Zhang Tianming, but to no avail. Their attacks could not even break the opponent's body-protecting true qi. The martial honor realm is much stronger than them. Not to mention, Zhang Tianming is not an ordinary martial honor. Why are you in such a hurry? Now, it's your turn to die. Zhang Tianming said calmly. He raised his hand high, and the blood-colored true qi roared, ready to blast out. But at this moment, the blood sea he conjured suddenly shook wildly. What's going on? Zhang Tianming's face changed slightly. The next moment, I saw that where Ling Feng was originally standing, a series of brilliant golden lights burst out, and an extremely holy and magnificent golden true qi spread out. Wherever the true qi went, the blood sea rolled and roared, and exploded one after another. In the blood-colored ocean, an extremely tall figure slowly stood up, 100 feet tall, exuding a magnificent and domineering aura. A pair of golden eyes seemed to be burning with golden divine fire. Majestic, indifferent, and arrogant. It was like the immortal king had come to the world. He looked down upon the world. The most important thing was, this figure that looked like the immortal king looked exactly like Ling Feng. Damn it, he's not dead yet. And, what kind of skill is this? It can actually create such a terrifying giant vision. Who is he? Zhang Tianming's eyes were filled with disbelief. If you look closely, you can see a trace of fear in the depths of his eyes. As the top of the Grandmaster list, he actually felt fear. He felt fear for a young junior. This was something he had never thought of before. This is the first time I've used this immortal king Dharma body. You are honored to be the first opponent of this Dharma body. Ling Feng said indifferently. The sound was like thunder, resounding through the world. Even people dozens or hundreds of miles away could hear it clearly. At the figure filled with endless divine light, some people couldn't help but kneel on the ground, shouting that the gods were coming. Immortal King Dharma body? I've never heard of this technique, but judging from its power, it's at least an emperor-level technique. This Baiyun sect actually has an emperor-level technique. Asshole. Zhang Tianming's palms trembled slightly. But the next moment, he suppressed his fear, took out pills one by one and swallowed them into his stomach, and then activated some secret technique. It made his own strength soar by several times, infinitely approaching the limit of martial honor. Then, he shouted in a low voice, holding the tiger-killing sword in his hand tightly, and the man and the sword seemed to merge into one, turning into a blood-colored sword light and slashing out angrily. Even if it's the immortal king, I will cut him down today. Zhang Tianming roared. Unfortunately, you can't do it. Ling Feng spoke indifferently, slowly raised his palm, and pressed it down with one palm. Boom. For a moment, the void suddenly became violently turbulent. The huge palm blasted out like a mountain, smashing into Zhang Tianming, completely shattering the blood-colored sword light on his body. Zhang Tianming flew backwards at a faster speed. He smashed on the mine. The mine collapsed directly, forming a huge pit. In the billowing smoke and dust. In the depths of the pit, Zhang Tianming was lying on the ground covered in blood. His bones, flesh, blood, and internal organs were almost a mess. The number 1 on the Grandmaster list fell. Ling Feng was also quite surprised. He didn't expect that he could kill the other party with just one slap. The power of this immortal king's Dharma body is even stronger than he thought. Gu Linglong, Lang Ningshuang and others all stared at this scene in a daze. Everything that happened today had a great impact on them. Their junior brother first chopped off the previous number 1 on the hidden dragon list with a sword. Now he slapped the number 1 on the Grandmaster list to death with a slap. This fighting power is too shocking.